All
right, we'll go ahead and start our Borough Council workshop meeting for December 6th, 2023. Can I get a call to order and roll call?
President Ferguson,
Here.
Vice President Gerard,
Here.
Councilmember Fagan,
Here.
Councilmember Cresser, here, Councilmember Stevens,
Here.
Mayor Gerard,
Here.
Junior Councilperson Weeder,
Here.
Borough Manager Snyder, here, Borough Solicitor Harper,
Here.
All right, we'll start with item 1, approval of the meeting agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for December 6th, 2023 workshop meeting?
I'll move.
Second. I get a motion from Councilman Gerard, second Councilman Stevens. Any questions, changes, or amendments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, there are none. We'll go to item 2, public input. Anyone from public who's here would like to make a statement, please rise, state your name and address, and your reason for addressing council.
Good evening, John H. Wireman, 70 North Wayne Avenue in Borough. First, I just want to congratulate Public Works, whatever input staff had on the core commercial district lighting. The red and green lights, the lamp posts, the tree, the hedges, everything just looks great this year. So I think it really, driving down there makes you proud of how nice it looks. And secondly, I want to congratulate council for the 2 recognitions of Citizens of the Year. We're going to have 2 better people. Lieutenant, outstanding honor for you for all you've done for the borough. He doesn't know that?
No.
I'm the only one to read the package. I'm so sorry.
So it was actually, we actually talked about and joked about it, Lieutenant Jane, that you probably don't read the packets, so you wouldn't even know that it was in there. So it was going to be a big surprise. So.
We did it. We did it at a meeting you were not attending, so it's not your fault you didn't read the packet. Just that surprise.
Well, I should have done it when I was here, but it is. And secondly, of course, for Larry, that's outstanding for what he's done for this community over the years. I know we've recognized different groups that he was associated with as director, but personally, that's fantastic to recognize Mr. Stevens. Congratulations. We'll have some budget if you indulge me to wait till you get to that point.
We can do that, absolutely. So, Kate, I wish we'd had a camera on Lieutenant Jane's face. So that was. John, you're royalty here, my friend. You can do whatever you want. So no worries, no worries. If there's nothing else, we'll go to item 3, announcements.
Next council meeting is the December 20th regular meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers. Borough is scheduled to meet Wednesday, December 20th at 8 a.m. in council chambers. The next planning commission meeting, originally scheduled for December 4th at 7 p.m. in council chambers, is rescheduled for Monday, December 11th at 6 p.m. in council chambers. The borough offices will be closed Monday, December 25th and Tuesday, December 26th in observance of the Christmas Eve and Christmas holidays. The borough offices will be closed Monday, January 1st, 2024 and Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024 in observance of the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day holidays. And the Hatfield Borough Reorganization Meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Wanted to highlight this on announcements, as I know PSAB puts out a magazine, and Larry's not the only one that asked. So PSAB puts out a magazine that the reorganization is January 2nd, because most people don't have paid holidays on January 2nd, and it's supposed to be the first Monday of the new year. It's pushed obviously because of January 1st. I spoke to PSAB, and there is a 10-day grace period to hold your reorganization meeting at the beginning of the year. So January 3rd, our first day back after paid holidays, was perfectly fine.
Any questions on the announcements?
Might be easier to get somebody to swear in on that day too.
Yeah, so Judge
Because
Levine
every
said-
other municipality will
Is
be
doing it, yeah.
organizing the day before.
Yeah, Judge Levine said 6:30, that's why it's not at 7. I did, as I said before, I offered him 6 o'clock because he has somewhere to be at 7. I did not hear back, so we're going to go with 6:30. If things change, we can certainly, before we send the advertisement off, we could change that.
Any questions? All right, if there are none, we'll go to item 4, the 2024 preliminary budget presentation. So we won't highlight all the items that we discussed last time, except for the first, to basically say, this was, again, a lot of effort put on by the staff. And the positive thing about it, again, is there are no increases in fees, no tax increases. So, and we were also allowed to put some projects in there that are actually going to make us money to allow for some new equipment, which was a great positive. So again, I want to thank everyone for all the effort that they put on this, and we can take questions.
You're on, John.
You're on, John.
I'll sit right here if that's okay.
Yeah.
Just curious, the page 12 under insurance. Seems like that jumped considerably, as you might imagine it would, but just wondering about the details there. Went to 23,000,
Or.
actually total of 39.9, I guess is the right number.
Right, so property and liability went up this year as it did last year. Just due, simply for 2 things, cybersecurity, and that most of Hatfield Borough properties are located in a flood zone. So both of those made our, basically the trust pool that we're a part of, Divot. They came back and said cybersecurity is number 1, flood zones number 2, and Hatfield Borough was hit along with multiple municipalities on both of those. So that's why they increased. We actually saw a decrease in healthcare, which was good, healthcare costs, but liability and property did go up.
Great, thank you. I hope I don't jump around on you, but anyone else I question. The general fund transfer to sewer. And I have a question that leads to that. Was the Bennett Courts EDUs collected?
Yes, they were collected this year.
And those funds are in the sewer reserve account?
They were budgeted to, they were in the 2023 budget to balance the 2023 budget. We counted those funds as revenue and expense, that revenue coming in to balance the 2023 budget. So that's why for the first time you're seeing it transfer to the sewer from the general fund, because our sewer had a deficit. We also took out from the budget all transfers from invested funds. There were transfers from invested funds through multiple accounts in the budgets in years past, including 2023, specifically for capital projects. No transfers in the budget from any invested funds. They all come from the general, the sewer, or the electric.
Okay, so page 24 sewer fund revenues, you're saying that 68,000, or the portion of that that was Bennett's Court was received. It's not reflected here.
Yes. It came in, we just got it maybe 2 months ago in October. And I know that the projected through 2031 or year to date was through June of 2023. So that's why it might not be reflected. We got it in, we met with them in September because Prestige had sold to Lennar. So we got it after that.
Is that right?
Yes, Prestige sold to Lennar. So when Lennar came in and we had a pre-construction meeting in September, that's when all the fees and everything were paid.
It's like a small project for them. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I did not attend or whatever council had with the volunteer medical. I know even when I was on council, there was discussion, they would come in and make a presentation. So my question is, the 15,000, I know any help they can receive is benefit. Just wondering if other municipalities are participating and how the amount was arrived at. Is there a formula?
Um, Joining,
Yeah.
yes, other municipalities are participating. The amount that they came in and asked for was roughly like 24,000 and some change. We started out with a $10,000 contribution, for this budget. We felt we could up it to 15, which reflected similarly what other municipalities were doing, basically giving around a 50% contribution of what they asked for. I believe Towmenson is doing a little bit higher, and North Wales may be doing a little bit lower, but Upper Gwynedd, Hatfield, Montgomery, they're all giving, and I don't want to quote them, roughly 100,000, out of their budget if they'd ask for like two. Lansdale, I haven't heard yet.
Great to hear that there are other participation in that. Yeah. And they're now a regional organization as far as, don't they have Southerton and Arlington?
Yeah, they do. I will say I am not 100% sure if Souderton is going to be contributing in this budget year for them, but they have made the commitment that they were going to Souderton and asking them for money, but they had kind of signed on in the middle of last year, and they were still looking to have conversations with Souderton and bringing them on board for contributions as well.
Yeah, to your point, John, though, there wasn't a formula that was based on population. It's all estimates on everybody. So, and I think we looked at it. What other municipality we consider? Was it North Wales? And based on similar populations,
Correct,
and
yeah.
and where we came up with the 15.
Yeah, and we did talk about moving for the future, a conversation about a designated tax millage, just like the fire company does. And how we came about just doing a line item budget is all the municipalities weren't sold on that yet. They were like, we all had to agree on we were talking about an equal amount for everybody, or based on your call volume and your population. And we were kind of up in the air. So we all talked as managers and went back to our council and asked for a line item for this year. I believe North Wales may be doing a tax. I'm not sure what they have decided yet, but that's kind of where it came in as President Fergus said. There wasn't like a calculation. It was just based on feedback of what everybody was trying to give, kind of be around the same idea.
We've been carrying the capital projects for a while on the North Main and East West Broad. Is there any borrowing anticipated in these figures?
Yeah, so we showed it come in and out for like revenues and expenses. We talked about borrowing the 2 million, it's like $2,800,000. We talked about borrowing it because we have to pay it all up front, just how we did for the bridge, similar to the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge project, and then get that reimbursement back. So yes, we've talked about borrowing. Actually in our in the line item in here, when we talk about repaying our debt, we added $70,000 in there on top of what our debt payments are, in case we would borrow and it would come back at that high number, that we could pay that for 2024.
And you'll have to refresh me on the business savings account. 323,000. Is that still available towards this project?
Yeah, so that money is still in Harleysville because it's for the MTF grant. When we borrowed the money for the MTF grant was part of that. That's the crosswalks on Main Street and the crosswalks on Broad Street. We had to postpone that project just because of the H2O and PA small water utility replacement project. So that money is designated specifically for that project and paid for.
So it's not in 24.
Correct, it's not in 24.
Yeah. Give me a second to page through, it might be it. Last question, the I asked when I was on council, how we doing with ESSA on closing the account? Now it has to be used strictly for debt service, I believe.
Correct, or improvements to the building. So we have one outstanding project for the building that is being completed that's coming out of ESSA. And that is handicap doors out front. They were never put on when we built the building, like those buttons. And we talked with, I believe it's property and equipment first, public works, property and equipment, and then we took it to the board. Residents come in and they can't open the doors, they're in wheelchairs, and we don't know why that wasn't caught. And we're gonna take that money out of the budget this year. It comes from ESSA, and then we're gonna close that account. Yeah, and then put that money towards the debt.
Good use. Congratulations on no increases and keep it rolling. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, John.
I know there's an action item on, but we do have to advertise. Did you advertise it for 10 days yet?
It's on for consideration as an action this evening, and if it passes, it will be printed in the newspaper on Friday.
Okay, so, you know, you have to do that before you pass. It's just a
Right.
little bit unusual. Townships don't have to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to advertise that it's out there, but I don't think they have to do the 10 days.
Oh, like a different.
If you want to come in and look at it, you have 10 days to do it.
Okay.
So.
Good.
You know, are you doing? I don't know. She did. She's okay, good. Making sure we get it done.
Oh, absolutely.
You wanna highlight the station we just had, getting budget and talk about getting budget.
I'll talk about the budget finance on like that. Was there any more questions on the budget from either the community or from council? All right. Well, again, I want to thank everyone for their effort on this. As usual, it takes a lot of time and effort, and I think we did a great job with it. So thank you. All right.
Good job, Diane.
Thank you.
Sorry, I should have said Diane. I'm looking at Diane saying thank you, and I didn't say Diane, so apologies there.
She's the brains behind it all.
She is.
No, that might not be good.
No, that's great. You do a great job.
Then I get blamed.
You do a great job.
Which again, remember, you're not allowed to retire. So
Oh, okay.
that's the only caveat. So. All right, if we're done with that, we'll go to item 5, reports from standing committees and the mayor. So we'll start with budget, finance, and labor. Obviously, we just went through the budget for 2024. The only item I was going to discuss today on it was that Rich and I, as part of the manager's compensation review, had that prior to the budget meeting or prior to the council meeting today. All the details are there, so if anyone wants to see that, you know, we can send that out, and Jamie will send that out. But just to highlight a couple things, her overall compensation increased a little bit. Her salary increased a little less than 3% or somewhere around 3%. She asked to shift some funds around from dental and things like that into retirement. And then she took a little bit lower pay cut than the rest of her staff did to compensate for that. So not really sure how much I want to give away on total numbers. But I think Rich and I were good with everything on that. I shouldn't say I think we were happy with that and thought it was fair compensation. So if anyone has a specific question, we can answer it. Otherwise, we would send out the details if you wanted to see it. But obviously, Jamie does a great job for us. And so we also looked at comparing numbers for different municipalities as well. And so definitely think that her compensation is fair, maybe even on the low side. I probably shouldn't say that. So, but she is a dedicated employee, as you guys all know, and she puts her heart and soul into this municipality. So, so I don't have any issue with the little bit of things that she asked for. So. Any questions on budget, finance, and labor? If not, we'll go to planning, building, and zoning.
The committee has not met in the last month, and so I have nothing new to report.
Okay. Michelle, how about public safety?
The committee has not met. so there's nothing here to report at this time.
Are we still considering a traffic study out on for next year?
We're gonna go over a couple different things, so
Okay.
I'll get back to you with different proposals.
Okay. Are we still considering the camera we talked about too, or is that even an option? Yeah, just an alternative way of reducing speed versus physical barriers, bump outs, things like that.
We're gonna look into a couple different things, and then we'll let council know the options that we have.
Okay, I think I threw the idea out to you in like a brief conversation, so sorry, I didn't mean to hit you with that again, so. All right, Public Works, Property and Equipment?
The Public Works property and equipment hasn't met since the last meeting, so nothing to report.
Okay. How about utilities, Rich?
Utilities Committee has not met. The only thing I can report from speaking to Dave is the fact that there have been some shuttles prior to the beginning of November because of not paying the bills. But we're now where we're allowed to do that for the remainder of the year.
Any questions for Rich? If not, how about Hurok?
HUROC has not met recently. However, I've been working on a couple things. One is that we now have a new member of the HUROC committee who will be introduced at this coming meeting on the 20th of December. His name is Mr. Dinakar Raj, who's a citizen. I had a discussion with Jamie about it, where it's becoming difficult to try to recruit business owners here in the borough. And we discussed about instead we have an interested citizen. So there is nothing apparently that would prevent us from doing that. So we reached out to him, or I reached out to him and spoke with him, and he's anxious to come on board. So he'll be introduced to the HUROC committee at the next meeting on the 20th. In addition, I'm also in conjunction with Steve Barth, started working on some ideas for revamping our insignia for the HUROC committee to be used as publicity information putting out in the future. So that's it.
Any questions? If not, we'll go to the mayor's report, Madam Mayor.
I just have one quick comment. I was invited to Generation Senior Center in Souderton. They had an event to celebrate their 50th anniversary of their Meals on Wheels program. I have experience with Meals on Wheels. We used it for my mom, and it was a godsend. The work that they do, they not only give food to the people, but they also allow the people, many of whom are handicapped, shut-ins, whatever, to have a social, situation with people, a social outlet. So I think it's a wonderful program. I got some information about the program from the director of Generations. And what I'd like to do, and I spoke briefly to Lindsay about this, put something together and then post that on our website. A little bit of the history of it and the fact that it is available, because apparently there was a North Penn Meals on Wheels program that bellied up after COVID. So they have assimilated all of those people from the North Penn program into their program. And, we can put that out there, make people aware of it, and also put in information about possibly, if you want to volunteer, here's the contact number. So I think it's a wonderful program. So I'd like to make our residents aware of that. Because maybe somebody needs it and they're not aware. So that's it. So
Any questions for the mayor? All right, if there are none, we'll go to item 6, reports and correspondence, monthly investment reports. We'll start with.
Monthly investment report was in your packets. We'll start with the investment tracking of the T-bills bonds. Wanted to note that the electric managed six month was updated to March 14th, 2024. We showed what we purchased it at. Obviously, it's going to mature at $250, and the difference per month, positive of $457.29. I will highlight under the sewer managed, we did the same, though that number of negative 6,317.50 was a mistake on the Excel sheet and should be $230.80 positive for this month. So if you were looking and it looked some weird math, it was the Excel sheet and it should be 230.80. I will also highlight that if you look at everything year to date, as we always talk about, electric continues to do good. As we noted, we have a couple things more in electric managed than our sewer managed or our sewer capital reserve. So budget finance and labor is talking about what we can do next year to try to mirror our investments off of electric, what we did, this year to try to, recoup or capture some of that positive money. So, budget finance and labor will be able to update you once we meet after the beginning of the year and look a deeper dive into our investments. We're also talking with Pliget, as we talked about. We have some money at Harleysville and some of our investments. What would be better? They offer over 5% in a lot of their accounts. They have money market accounts. They have CDs. Their rates seem to be a little bit higher and better than those in the general area. And they are approved for us to use, and they're a government entity. So we are continuing to look at that and going to do something after the first of the year.
So Diane, just out of curiosity, the weird Excel math isn't the reason why our budgets are balanced, right? Just confirming, so.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
That Excel sheet was rogue.
How about monthly EIT and LST?
Your monthly EIT and LST reports were in your packets. As you can see, year-to-date total, we're at 493,587. We were at 431,666 last year. I will highlight in the budget this year, we did increase that to 455 from 425. We know that last year we showed year ending at 493, but if you look at the previous years, and I know those cover the COVID years, we just weren't comfortable going from 425 and saying we were going to get 490 when we only had 1 year showing that. So we wanted to be a little bit conservative. We certainly, along with budget finance and labor, will continue to look at these numbers. And if we have to show a revenue increase in 2025, we obviously would be happy to do so. But they continue to look good for EIT, and it's the same for LST. Year to date, we're at 57,152. Last year, we were at 50,436. In the budget this year, we went up to 45,000 from 35,000. We know 35 is less than we ended up last year at 51, but again, we wanted to be conservative in case that was an outlier number. As you can look previous years, we were more around 40, 41. So we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully we'll be able to continue to see more revenues come in for EIT and LST.
Any questions? How about our year to date?
The monthly year or the year to date was included in your packets. For October, as you can see, we were at 668 for revenues and expenses, 797. I know they seem to be up a little bit. Actually, for the same last year, we were at revenues of 805 and expenses at 892. So it's down from last year. I do want to note that the fire real estate taxes payout, which is a one-time a year payout, that did take place. So that is reflected in those numbers.
All right, any questions? If not, we'll go to monthly zoning hearing board.
There was no monthly zoning hearing board applications in your packet. Currently, right now, there is also no update on the 103 North Main Street. They filed an appeal, and since it's in the zoning hearing board solicitor office, we haven't had any updates since then. And I believe the solicitor hasn't as either.
Correct.
Do we know timing on that or estimate?
Usually takes about a year to get through Montgomery County. You can do it faster if you're pushing it. I can check the dockets. I think my appearance is entered just as a courtesy so that I know what's going on. But I didn't see any activity.
Okay,
in the last 6 weeks, okay? What has to happen is, and sometimes the parties do this because they're anxious to get it moving. They file briefs and then the other side's got to file its brief and then it moves to the judge for a decision. Sometimes with argument, sometimes without. But if nobody does anything, it sort of sits there until the court says you will file your brief by this date and get it done. And that's kind of where it's just sitting.
okay. Any questions? If not, we'll go to the police report.
Nothing really to add call wise to the police report. We did finish our promotional testing in the department, and so everybody will be in place early next year. She's trying to do it in January or February during the supervisor or the commissioners meeting. So that'll be happening quickly. And then the two young men that were providing additional offers, those have been updated to full offers, and they will be going to academy starting in January. If you graduate in June, you can go out with their start the hiring process. Probably sometime this spring again. So never ends. That's right.
All right, any questions for the lieutenant? If not, we'll go to the fire department report.
There was no fire department report in your packets, but if you have any specific questions, Butch, as always, is at the meeting, I'd be happy to answer any.
Finally hit 300 calls. Didn't think we were gonna get there, but start on Thanksgiving, we had 5 calls. Every other day since then, we've had 4 calls.
Oh.
Kind of crazy.
How's your wrist doing?
We're all good.
Yeah, okay. Any questions? If not, we'll go to EMS.
EMS report was included in your packets for October and November. As you can see, total calls were 25 out of 1,106 for October, roughly hovering around between the 1% and 2% mark. And same with November, they had 8 zone calls out of 1,005 calls. That's a little bit below the 1%, but still, we're not getting anything higher than 2% of zone calls in Hatfield Borough.
All right, any questions? All right, we have a new item, Barth Consulting Report.
The Barth Consulting Report was in your packets. This is a report that Steve said he would provide monthly. Wanted some feedback. Do you like it? Is there something else you'd like to see about it? Highlighting a few things. Since Steve started working for the borough in the beginning of November, we have had 2 site tours at the station. Talks about a microbrewery, an electric bike retailer who's interested in the space. He also has interest from a winery, a restaurant, and an animal shelter who he is actively calling and talking to and going to take through the train station. Myself and Steve Thickert requested that all tours be halted for a little bit until Public Works could get in and clean out the train station. They did a great job. They opened the windows, they ripped out the carpet. They just cleaned it up a little bit to make it a little bit more presentable. We talked about this with budget, finance, and labor, and we had some funds this year to be able to do that for monies that we budgeted actually to make renovations to the SEPTA property in this year's budget. So Public Works did that minimally. I'm not sure the exact expenses other than the dumpster. If there's anything else that you inquired, oh, lights, right?
Yeah, we're talking under $1,000 at this point.
That included some painting and,
No,
Or
no
the-
painting was done at this point.
okay, are we still gonna do that or?
We're unsure.
Okay,
At this point, interior, we're thinking we're probably not gonna do any painting. Because no matter what we do, whoever would take the lease over might just change whatever we do. They might want to strip the paint off the inside to expose the brick. So the more painting we do might actually cause a hindrance to whoever takes it over.
right. I thought though, the part of the thought of the painting too was just to make it look a little nicer, you know?
And after we removed everything we did from the inside and cleaned it up the way we did, myself, Jamie and Steve Barth were all kind of under the assumption that what we did already cleaned it up enough that they can kind of get the idea.
Okay.
Katie's gonna switch right now. I asked her, sometimes it's hard when someone's on Zoom. She'll switch right now. You see what the inside of the train station looks like. We took some photos. So you can see the awesome job that Public Works did and how if you've been in there previously, you will, you know, if you all have, you'll see the difference from just opening some windows and, making some adjustments. So that's the upstairs, second level, well, up the stairs on the second level. They opened the windows in the back there. They took off the, you call it a shelf on the wall there, Steve, right?
Yeah.
We did talk about, removing that is it called slat board?
Slat board.
Yes, we talked about removing that slat board as there is a door and windows behind it. But once the Public Works remove that, you can explain what happened.
We removed one board to try to expose the doorway itself. When we did so, we ran into a layer of drywall. Behind the layer of drywall, we found the doorway, but we also found very poor condition plaster. Instead of exposing all of that just to expose the door and a window, which you can easily see from the outside, we thought it would be best visually just to leave it all up there and let your imagination do the best.
First, you have to clean all the plaster and, yeah.
It would have turned into a mess, and part of my concern is some of the old plaster like that does, you know, it's not good for your lungs.
A significant difference, that's for sure.
I noticed on Saturday night at the tree lighting ceremony, the outside lighting. That really,
Yeah.
that really was very effective.
Yeah.
Just highlighting that, you know, really the beauty of the station. I thought was very, very effective.
I think it looks a lot better at night now, like lit up on the outside. And hopefully that will deter people from hanging around there at night. And, you know, we are looking into, we had money in this year's budget for a camera. We have a request into R&R data about providing a camera that would be out there that would be mounted on the same pole as the one that's out there already that does Broad Street and North Market and East Lincoln, just on that station. Also, when the station gets rented, we assume people are going to put in their own security, and this camera can be moved to another location in the borough. It could be put on the trail, could be put in one of our parks, could be really put anywhere as long as we make the communication to it. So we had money in the budget this year. We're just waiting for a quote on that for it to come back to see if we can fit it into this year. Talking about the train station, as you'll see, Mr. Barth put in his report that we may want to think about doing an RFP, as he has a lot of people that are interested in this space and wants to make sure that they have, you know, an idea and they have a presentation they can have, they have the financing, they have those things kind of lined up. So he's running that idea. He's going to do some more research into that and present something to council. If council would like to, you know, have everybody who's interested come in and talk. And then also wanted to highlight that he has met with several businesses in Hatfield Borough since he's arrived in November. And I have heard from several businesses and they just say, thank you. They say, please tell council and the mayor, we're so thankful that you are investing into us, because that's how they feel. Steve is there to work for the businesses. He's also to work on our revitalization, but he was hired a lot to go down and downtown and around the borough and make sure that the businesses are getting the things and have accessibility to things that they need, like grant opportunities and those things. So businesses are very thankful. So told them I would pass the message along.
Are there any questions on our new report? All right, if not, we'll go to Public Works. Steve?
Well, as Jamie mentioned, Public Works been busy with the old train station, cleaning it up, you know, just trying to make it more presentable in a showing fashion for Steve Barth. And as one of our residents noted, all the decorations came on and in my opinion, looked great. Tree lighting went well. So other than that, that's about it.
Any questions for Public Works?
Star came on.
That's why you're still sitting here. Right?
It's not jinx it.
All right, engineering report?
Chad's report was included in your packets, pretty much the same from previous month's reports, but I did want to highlight the utility replacement project because the CFA had a meeting in November and they awarded every grant but the H2O project and the PA small water. So now, what is Hatfield Borough to do moving forward with this project? We want to put this project out to bid. Everything's ready except the HOP portion of it, which we're working with the solicitor on easements for. But moving forward, they do not have a date of when they are planning on awarding those grants. We reached out to the CFA and asked them if we would move forward and put this project out to bid, would that jeopardize us getting any grant money? And they said, no, as long as you don't issue a notice to proceed on the project. So maybe based on past years, they tend to hold a meeting in March. So we're just fingers crossed, hoping that the dates come out, maybe even lucky be January, but I think more like March we'd be looking at. But just a consensus from council, if we hear about the award or do not hear about the award, we know it's roughly $800,000 in grant funds, that our intention was still to continue to move forward with this project. I think North Penn Water wants to know that from us. I think, you know, a lot of residents inquire about that. I know that's a really big thing along with the crosswalks. So right now, the grant funding is still up in the air. We were hoping to have an answer in November and we just don't.
I have a question on that. If we do that, if we go out and do an RFP, how long is that RFP good for, even though we don't have the funding yet for the grant?
Well, the RFP is for the train station. You mean just the putting the project out to bid?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can put the project out to bid and then is it when you put it out to bid and accept the bid?
Yeah, it's either 60 or 90 days. It's not that long, so.
Before you have to issue a notice.
And there's a cost to put the bids together too.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Advertising.
when you want, yeah, advertising and all like that. Not as bad as it used to be because there's ways you can do things online, but still.
So is it foreseeable that we would be within that time frame when they would approve the grant? I mean, I can't see if we're gonna, you know, if it's gonna string out 6 months or 8 months. We're gonna have to.
Great.
redo
I
all
also think isn't that somehow affected by the fact that the state never finished its budget last year?
And it might be, yes.
Right, so maybe we should keep an eye on that issue, whether the state's approved its budget and then do the bids, you know,
That's what I'm thinking, because, you know, if you gotta have to go through the whole process a second time.
it's expensive,
And put out more money.
right?
Is there some way that you can give sort of a, like I don't know what to call it, maybe just a rough idea bid, so somebody could give you a general idea what the costing would run?
But the problem with that is it's a temporal thing. In other words, if you bid it out at a time when people aren't busy, and that's why you try to bid a lot in the winter, you know, because they don't know and they're nervous. So they might bid lower and you get a nice lower bid. If you wait till June when they've got all their work lined up, your bids are going to be higher or you're not going to get as many. So there's that too. I wonder if we should talk to our state rep about the budget issue and what he thinks might happen with that.
Yeah, I can reach out to him. I did send an email to his office asking and inquiring about the CFA grants before Chad and I talked, like, hey, what's going on? What's the status? As he knows, as he's been in support of both of our project for grants. Just kind of looking for some guidance in a way of, does he hear anything? Is there, but
Right.
a question might be now more of the budget. Does he hear anything on the budget? Because
Right.
that's,
Because I think that might be why
Having a
these
trickle-down
grants
effect.
are held up. Yes.
If we don't get the grant, how much more will be out on the project?
the grant was for a little over $800,000.
So I thought we can't actually do the project. if we Don't get the grant.
We talked about, we have one grant pending. We're working with, Congressman Fitzpatrick's office for more funding. We have the 300 plus that we're transferring from ARPA to cover the project. And it was a discussion at council previously that whether we got the grants or not, we were moving forward with the project. We talked about that, and if that's changed, that's okay, but I think that needs to be communicated, because the consensus, and if I'm wrong, correct me, it was we were doing the project no matter what, if we got those grant funds or not.
Is that because PennDOT's gonna be doing their work regarding this?
No, that's because this has just been going on since, for many, many, many years, and the alleyway on West Broad Street is blocked and people can't use that. And it was just, we have to move forward with the infrastructure and those things. That's why. And North Penn Water, yes, they want to work with us, and yes, they will work with us. Could they do the project on their own? Absolutely. They could replace their water mains and things. They've even said that we could go on their own. It's just easier to do it in conjunction with us. So I don't know that we're holding them up or hindering them. They could do it on their own. We're also in a verbal agreement with Hatfield Township that they're waiting on us for North Main Street, because we're going to pave North Main all the way down Cowpath into the township with them, a joint bid. So they're kind of waiting for us to do the project as well. They put it off for 1 year. So I think we kind of talked about, hey, there's a lot of things that were put on hold because they were being good community members and, good workers with us. When do we just make the decision that no matter what, we have to do this project?
Well, one question would be is if we do it without the funding, can we get, sometimes you can get funding, maybe we can get funding after the fact to pay for it? I don't know if that would be, is that?
It depends on the grant. I think you just said if you put it out to bid, don't accept the bid or give a notice to
Yeah,
proceed.
no notice to proceed.
There are some grants, DCED has a thing where you can apply for reimbursement.
Mhm.
Okay, you have to do it before you even get the
Right,
grant and
right.
everything. You have to apply for it to come in later, but I'm not sure this particular grant has.
No, I'm just wondering if there might be others that would then, that we could possibly pursue after the fact if we have to pay this fully out of our own pocket.
Well, I think the other thing that's more attractive, if whoever's giving the grant thinks that it's gonna be like a big deal, which this one surely is because of its expense and because of the fact that several entities are involved in it. If you've already got the money, you're less needy than somebody who's standing there saying, please, please, we need to get this done. So I think you have to think about that too.
I mean, based on what I'm hearing, unless anyone disagrees, I don't think we change our stance on it. We still plan on proceeding, and let's see what happens.
And I believe that it will take a little bit with the easements and the HOP. So we're not looking till like maybe late, late winter, early spring, talking about putting out the bid. Hopefully they have a meeting in March. So hopefully that, correlates. Also, maybe if they put the date on their calendar, we can correlate around that as well. We certainly will keep an eye out for that. And any other funding that becomes available, we certainly can research, we'll let you know. But we'll continue to move forward. And I know that North Penn Water Authority would like to feature us in their next newsletter. So they were just waiting kind of on us for more of a firm timeline because we didn't hear about the grant funding.
All right, any question? All right, we'll go on to zoning officer.
Zoning officer report was in your packets. Just want to make note of the notice of violations. There are 4 total. One is going to the magistrate's office on Talmenton Avenue, and the one on West Vine Street. I wanted to let you know that property was given 30 days. And for the exterior structure violation, and that 30 days runs out December 7th. So if you've noticed the exterior structure, the not weatherproof materials on on West Vine, and hey, we talked about this before, why hasn't anything happened? It's because it was a 30-day, because it required a permit and siding. Bob was just being a little bit more lenient with that time. As of today, I did not hear that property came in for a permit.
What's the status on the property on West Broad Street, the Muller property, whatever was. Near the one that was,
Munson.
yeah,
Munson.
what's the status there?
The only thing that I heard was from the Sun months ago about looking into, people that were potentially interested in the property and talking to them. Anybody that's interested, I passed that information along to, the Sun. I did have a conversation with Bob in code, might have been 2 weeks ago. Does the borough have the right to do something besides letting it continue to sit there, abandoned? And I said, I don't know if that's a conversation with Bob, but that's a conversation with Kate. I don't know those answers, but I did put that in Bob's ear that I don't know that it can continue to sit there through next year if nothing gets done with it. You know, the winter time, I understand, but
Okay.
So no other questions? We'll go on the fire marshal.
there's no fire marshal report in your packet.
How about pool advisory?
The October pool advisory report was in your packets. Just basically a review of 2023 of the season. And I did note that there was a meeting in November, so I will follow up with her to see about those meeting minutes. But the report just talked about how their 2023 season went and financials and different things that they will do for next year.
They're not in need of any members, are they?
No, not that I'm aware of. We did check our members that currently serve and all of their terms are still valid. I do have a question into one of the members who I've noticed has not been on the meeting minutes. So still questioning to see if he is still interested in serving on the board. As I know, we have a resident that wants to serve on the board, right? Not your wife, a Miss
Kate.
Tate, okay.
Yes, no, my wife does not want
Yeah,
to serve on
she
the
does
board.
not, no.
So quit soliciting her, so. All right, if there's no more questions on our reports and correspondence, we'll go to the manager's report, item 7.
Quickly, just wanted to highlight that Bennett's Court is currently working on running the primary for the development. And I believe next week they'll be working on paving. Is that correct? Next week they'll be working on paving,
Gas and then paving.
gas and then paving. So it's well underway. As far as I know, they've been communicating with the residents and leaving door knockers or notices when, you know, services would be interrupted. So we're staying on top of them for that. For 200 North Main Street, the Biblical Seminary property, I did supply another letter of support for tax credits as the one had, I don't want to say ran out, but for lack of a better term, ran out. It was over a year old. We submitted a support letter for the property previously. He just asked if I could change the date and sign it and submit it again as they're applying for tax credits for that property. And then the 2021 outstanding project, just highlighting that we're waiting on that grant reimbursement from PennDOT still for the East Lincoln Avenue Bridge. We have reached out multiple times to them. Again today, talked to the lady requesting PennDOT give us an answer as we're paying money on the debt that we've taken out for that project and continue to do that. And also reaching out to our state reps to help try to, you know, make this process go a little bit faster as it seems to be lingering for our reimbursement. And that's all for my report. If anybody had any questions.
All right, if there are no questions, we'll go on to item 8, new business. Item A, advertising the 2024 budget.
The budget, as we spoke about previously, needs to be advertised 10 days prior to its adoption. This is the advertisement that is set to go into the North Penn Reporter on Friday, if it's approved this evening and it's on for consideration as an action item.
Any questions? If not, we'll go to item B, resolution 2023-19, Jason Ferguson. I don't know who that guy is. Sounds like a loser to me. 5-year service award for the Hatfield Borough Council.
So this resolution follows our annual recognitions of years of service to Hatfield Borough. It's on for consideration as an action item and will be presented at the holiday party.
Any questions? All right, item C, resolution 2023-20, James Rudolph 15-year service award to the Hatfield Borough Zoning and Hearing Board.
This resolution is on for consideration as an action item to honor Mr. Rudolph for his 15 years of service on the zoning hearing board for Hatfield Borough and will be presented at the holiday party.
Any questions? Now we'll go to item D, resolution 2023-21, Daniel Rush 15-year service to the Hatfield Borough Zoning Hearing Board.
So this resolution for Daniel is for 15 years of service to the Borough of Hatfield Zoning Hearing Board. It's on for consideration this evening as one of our annual service recognitions and will be presented at the holiday party on Friday.
Any questions? If not, we'll go to item E, resolution 2023-22, the EPPG pool agreement.
Resolution 2023-22 would authorize the execution of the 2023 EPPG Power Pool Participant schedule with AMP. Our municipal electric system is interconnected with PP&L and is operated by PJM. So this pool agreement is 16 members across the state of Pennsylvania that are serviced by PP&L, Met Ed. Some of them are in another pool agreement outside of the EPPG pool. And this pool agreement provides like rules and methods for allocating how charges and credits are given to us through this agreement. It allows AMP to purchase power on our behalf. It allows us to approve AMP's acquisitions of pool resources and vote on things. Basically, this agreement hasn't been updated since 2012. And as we know, last year we had a heavy winter storm over the Christmas holiday, and PJM was affected by that with transmission and capacity. And those charges and or credits that we received on our bill were never memorialized in this agreement because no one ever thought about them before this happened. So this agreement would just memorialize those changes or charges. As you know, AMP has always communicated upfront if we were seeing credits or charges on our bill. As part of this PJM settlement, we have received some credits on our bill. AMP has told us about them, a lot of them with the behind the meter generator, those things. So it's not like we'll see any changes or we're being charged anything differently. This agreement just kind of has to catch up. So as I had mentioned previously, maybe we put the cart before the horse when AMP designated those changes on our bill. Now we're just going to bring the horse along to catch up. It just memorializes that. So this agreement this resolution is going to be on for consideration at the December 20th meeting. If there's any specific questions about it, AMP did put out like a PowerPoint presentation that I'd be happy to share. And I believe I shared the executive summary as part of my manager summary that I send for the packets.
Okay. Yeah, if you can resend that. All right, any questions? All right, if not, we'll go to item 9, old business. We'll start with the first one, 2024 meeting dates.
Included in the packets is the proposed 2024 meeting dates. A few changes from the last meeting. Just wanted to note that we added the May 8th town hall meeting as part of that, and we added the November 13th budget presentation meeting as we talked about at the last council meeting. Other than that, the meeting dates have stayed the same, and they're on for consideration as an action item contingent upon the Planning Commission approving their meeting dates on December 11th. So the Planning Commission has not met as it was rescheduled. They just have to approve their meeting dates because they're talking about possibly maybe a time change. And we're going from the first Monday of the month to the fourth Monday of the month proposed for Planning Commission.
If they change theirs, we'll have to reconsider ours?
It's
Redo-
on as the only thing they would change is their specific dates.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's why it's like contingent upon approval of them approving their dates. So I would just update the ones in theirs. I don't know if the time's gonna change. That's been a conversation. And possibly November 25th date, because it's around Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
We did change the December 16th date to the 3rd. I know a couple members wanted to talk about the November 25th date, as it's the week of Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So did we want to move it up, or, so I see maybe those two changes, a possible time change, and maybe the November meeting going to be the 3rd,
Okay.
but nothing outside of that.
I wouldn't think those, Madam Solicitor, I don't think those would be significant enough to have to re-advertise them.
The planning commission, if they
Yeah.
change the actual days, we'll have to.
Yeah, we're not
Well,
going to
Don't
advertise.
advertise it until they
Got it.
confirm it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And because, it's so much cheaper to do it now, when we get all the boards and all the dates. As opposed to once a month, doing it, so it's
Okay.
worth waiting.
Okay. And we have the time to do that, to advertise it before the next.
You have to make sure you
Is
get
it-
the reorganization meeting out there at least 2 weeks in advance, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe it will be set to go after the planning commission meets. We'll probably advertise it that Wednesday,
okay,
so next Wednesday.
okay. Any questions on the dates? If not, we'll go to planning commission terms.
The planning commission terms that are up at the end of December 2023 are Ken Farrell, Michelle Kresser, and Larry Burns. All have expressed interest in being reappointed. And I think the conversation came last meeting that was okay. And if council is okay with that, that would happen at the reorganization meeting on January 3rd. They would just be, their term expires December 31st, 2023, so they would just be reappointed at the reorganization meeting in January.
Any questions on that? All right, if not, we'll go to item 10, our action items, starting with item A, motion to consider advertising the 2024 meeting dates contingent upon approval of the planning commission meeting dates.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, second from Councilwoman Kresser. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Item B, motion to consider advertising the 2024 borough budget.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Gerard, a second from Councilwoman Kresser. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. All right, item C, motion to consider resolution 2023-19, Jason Ferguson's 5 years of service of Hatfield Borough Council.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilman Stevens, a second from Councilwoman Kresser. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
With one abstention? Motion passes. All right, item D, motion to consider resolution 2023-20, James Rudolph's 15 years of service to Hatfield Borough Zoning Hearing Board.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Councilwoman Kresser, a second from Councilman Gerard. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. Item E, motion to consider resolution 2023-21, Daniel Rush's 15 years of service to the Hatfield Borough Zoning Hearing Board.
Second.
I got a motion from Councilwoman Kresser, a second from Councilman Stevens. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There are none. Motion passes. All right, I know we're going to have an executive session to talk about personnel, litigation, and real estate. So can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
I get a motion from Councilwoman Kresser, a second from Councilman Fagan. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.